There goes Fuzzy Fuzzy. Hey, welcome. It's the Genesee County Compassion Club show. I'm your host, Jeremy, back in the studio here with John at allpointstv.com. How's it going, everybody?
It's doing really well, except for the weather, which not
it's
a
cold.
lot. It's cold. It's colder than the a Wiccan practitioner's breast. I don't know what do you want to politically correct term for it. It's
freaking cold.
It's cold.
Yeah, and it came up fast on us. I mean, I thought I was doing good on the whole leaf collection bit. You know what I mean? I thought I had like 3 good mulches in solid, and then all of a sudden, boom, snow. I mean, it was like, and then I thought it was going to go away. I was just saying to myself the other day, like, man, if we could just get one of those, nice sunny 40-degree days, I'll be able to knock out the rest of my yard work and then, wake up to more snow. It was crazy. And I was just reading a report in the paper yesterday. I guess Michigan already has broken a few records for snow accumulation up through, this point of the year. Like Marquette, I think, has like 30 inches or something like that already total. And
they'll have that all the way up till June. I mean, it's like that's going to be there all the way up till June.
Yeah.
I've been up there. It was around my birthday. It was the 19th of June, and we were camping up there. And we still had to require 2 sleeping bags.
Oh yeah,
up there.
In June. Yeah. No, it's definitely chilly, and last year actually is the same thing because I remember I was skiing last year right before hunting season starts. Obviously November 15th. Happy hunting season, all you hunters. But yeah, I mean it's so far it's been a repeat. They say we're supposed to get a lot of snow this year. It's supposed to be a cold winter. That's what the old Farmer's Almanac is telling me. So I guess we'll have to see.
I'm just sitting here weeping also. The rest of the show I'll be weeping because I hate winter.
You hate winter. Yeah. Well, the winter drivers are definitely out. So please be careful. Watch out for that black ice and watch out for the crazy drivers more so. So, all right. Hey, we got lots of stuff I want to talk about today. Get you guys up to speed. Let you know what's been happening down at the Genesee County Compassion Club. Of course, we had our soup kitchen just this past Tuesday. Definitely want to say thank you to all our volunteers who showed up and helped out and made that happen, especially around this time of year when we have the holidays going on. I know people give extra appreciation. Definitely, need this, and we're glad to be a part of it. So thank you for everybody who came out on Tuesday, helped us out at the soup kitchen, and of course, we'll be kicking it again in December. Another chance for you guys to help out and be a part of it. So it's good stuff. Other events that we got coming up here, obviously we've got Thanksgiving happening tomorrow. The club will be closed on Thanksgiving. And I think we were just talking about Christmas hours as well. I believe on Christmas Eve we're going to be open till 4 p.m. and closed on Sunday. So just to give you guys a holiday hour update for the G3C. So we are closed tomorrow. Okay, we'll be back open on Black Friday, of course, for all your holiday shopping needs. Support your local caregiver. All right. Other items that we got going on here. I want to mention the Day with Santa because that's a freaking awesome event that we have going on here. Props and shout out to Miss Chelsea, who's really been the pinnacle behind this thing here, getting it going. So I'm pulling up the bulletin here. Please forgive me. But we're going to be doing this. It's another community outreach event that we're doing, similar to like when we had the trunk or treat. And this is obviously what we call a Day with Santa. So it's a Christmas season. I'm still trying to find the damn flyer. Here we go. A Day with Santa. So this is December 16th at 12 o'clock. We're doing this kitty corner from the club. All right, so just in the other building over there. And you get a free photo with Santa. We're going to have a Santa's workshop. We're also taking donations for new unwrapped toys for Hurley Pediatric Hospital. And we're going to have all kinds of decorations, events, and games and stuff for the kids to play. And this is open to the public, obviously. It's open community outreach. Tell all your friends and family about it. Again, it is December 16th at noon. And it's free. So bring your kids out. I know you could go to the mall and wait for 2 hours in line and pay $30 to sit on Santa's lap, or you come on down to the G and do it for free. So come on and enjoy our Day with Santa. Help us donate to the Children's Pediatric Hospital, and have a good time with the family. Enjoy the holiday season. All right. Check out our Facebook page on Genesee Compassion. On Facebook there, Genesee County Compassion Club. You can check out the details for the event and share the information if you would, please. That'd be great. All right, other events that we have coming up. We have our Village Artist also. coming up here, another village event. Let me pull this up here for you. See if I can find this. This is going to be, again, kitty corner from the club over at our other building there. Last time was a good event. We had a lot of different artists turn out, and this time I'm sure it'll be no different. We're doing our pop-up event is December 7th and 8th, according to Facebook here. There is an artist meeting on Sunday, November 25th at 2 p.m. You can check that out. And here we go, the art show. Pull this up here. It's cut off on the top. Damn it! Art show, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And like, pull the damn date. I can't believe it's cut off. Here we go, December 7th and 8th, 3 to 8 p.m. Now I can see it. But yeah, this is our pop-up art show. We're going to have, again, this is open to the public. Anybody can come on down. It is in our building that is next to the club. It's 3 to 8 p.m. We're going to have lots of different artists out there, all types of different stuff you can check out, decorate your home office with. Last time we had paintings, carvings, we had some demonstrations being done, and we'll be doing the same thing this time as well. So again, that is December 7th and 8th from 3 to 8 p.m. Please make sure you check that out. All right, other events, obviously, like I said, Thanksgiving, club is closed, don't forget that. Please enjoy your families. All right, and that's about it for announcements, what I got for you going down at the club for now. All right, so good stuff. All right, let's talk about some news. See what's going on with marijuana in the rest of the country. It's been a little bit since we did the show. I know last time we had just gotten done voting, just found out that cannabis is going to be legal for recreational purposes here in Michigan. And I think we're still on a high from that, if you know what I'm saying. But at any rate, yes, cannabis is legalized for recreational purposes here in the great state of Michigan. And it is going to be going into effect, according to what the news is telling us now at this point, December 6th. So apparently it takes them a little bit to count up things and certify things and ratify things and whatever things. So they did those things. And now you're going to see that as of December 6th, cannabis is actually going to be legal. Boom. All right. Legal. December 6th. Celebrate. It's awesome.
Do you expect the federal agencies might step up enforcement, though, even though all these other states have made it, legal for recreational use? Do you think now they're going to try to reassert themselves and get draconian about this stuff, or what? That's what my fear is.
That's a good question, John, and I'm not sure if everybody heard that, but the question is whether or not there would be increased federal, I guess, activity or pursuit, if you will. And I think the answer is no. And the reason I say that is because we haven't necessarily seen that in other states that have legalized cannabis for recreational purposes, such as like Colorado, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, California. After these states went online, so to speak, and not only passed the law, but then had it in place. Now they have places that are licensed, they're paying taxes, so on and so forth, and we're not seeing federal intervention in those areas. There have been some cases, yes, where federal authorities have stepped in, and maybe the claim was that there was some type of drug cartel going on. Maybe there was out-of-state trafficking going on. Maybe somebody wasn't following all the rules and regulations according to what they had agreed to. But for the most part, for the people that are doing things the way they're supposed to, they're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, paying the fees, they're not seeing issues. They're being allowed to conduct their business in a normal fashion, being treated like a normal, regular business should be treated, and they're not seeing additional federal pressure. And I think a lot of this is coming from the allocation part, where the federal government breaks down the budget and decides what they're going to use funds for and what they're not. And I think it's called the Rohrabacher-Hines Amendment or something like this. But at any rate, basically, it is controlling to the different agencies and departments of the government, specifically the DEA, FBI, so on, and ATF, that are going after cannabis crimes and making sure that they're only pursuing these cases that involve things like cartels or gangs or out-of-state trafficking, stuff like this. And they're not going after the guys that are paying the taxes, paying the fees, so on and so forth. So no, I don't think you're going to see that here in Michigan. I don't think you're going to see an increased focus on that at all. I think we're going to see the opposite, honestly. I think that more and more law enforcement is going to redirect to be able to focus on things that are more important to them and to us as a community. And I think overall that's a good thing, whether it be, at this point in time, we're hearing a lot about, opiate-based drug addiction and what law enforcement is trying to do to combat that. That certainly seems to be more of a focal point. And, we're also seeing increased pressure on law enforcement to do their job according to not just what the law says, but also what makes sense. Like, for example, right now in the legislature, there has been 2 or 3 new bills that have been introduced around Michigan's civil asset forfeiture law. And obviously, this is something that needs to be changed. But to me, this is a direct result of the liberation of cannabis, of the mass dissemination of information, where people are now understanding that, these people that have been affected by civil asset forfeiture, in a lot of cases, are not the folks that we want to pursue. They're not criminals. They're not running some sort of criminal enterprise. They were caught in the crosshairs of bad legislation and unfortunately ended up being victims of departments that were more concerned about revenue building than they were about crime or justice, for that matter. And so this is an area that needs to be addressed. We've seen large organizations, reputable ones like the Mackinac Center, actually address this issue itself. And I think it has been brought to light because of the drug war. So now that drugs have won the drug war, we can move on to other assets or facets of the drug war, and this is one of them. And so do I think that we're going to see increased federal activity around marijuana? No, I don't, because to me it is going to become harder and harder for law enforcement to actually close the deal when it comes to prosecuting those people. Number one, the public support is not there. Number two, it's becoming less cost effective to go after these people. I mean, if the police aren't able to just seize assets without actually charging someone with a crime, I mean, that definitely impacts their way of doing things. If people are able to actually, defend themselves to the full extent of the law, that also makes an impact on if they're going to be prosecuted or not. So I don't think there will be increased pressure from a federal standpoint. It will be interesting to see how this continues to play out. We obviously have in Michigan and in other states, also in other countries like Canada, we have a clear corporate monopoly that is going on. I mean, they're clearly trying to take over the market and monopolize this so that, they're the only ones that are able to have a revenue stream come from this. And, how that plays out against the black market is something that we have yet to see, because in the past, the black market was just simply that. It was the black market. Everything and anything involved in it was 100% illegal, no matter what. And for the most part, your average good, honest, tax-paying citizen wanted nothing to do with the black market. They may have wanted some weed, and then maybe that's why they were there, but they didn't want to deal with any other part of it at all. And the fact that remains that part of the market still exists, and there's still a market out there for weed in the black market. And why is that? The reason is because of regulation and things that we're allowing and encouraging our government to do. When those regulations become so cumbersome that the average person can't meet those requirements, that the company that does meet those requirements has to do so at a cost level that makes them less appealing to the consumer than the black market. These things here they're anti to what we're trying to bring about. Obviously, I think the consumer out there, the patient, they want regulation because they want safety. They want to make sure they're not going to have to deal with a back alley. They want to make sure they're not going to have to deal with a contaminated product or one that's inferior. But as far as the schematics of it, I think the average consumer isn't concerned with any other aspect. They don't really care necessarily where it's coming from. They just want to make sure that their needs are being met and that their concerns are being addressed. So with a product like cannabis, it's pretty well benign. And we hear stories from law enforcement and from the other side of the street, if you will, talk about all the dangers of untested, unregulated cannabis, implying that somehow if there's cannabis out there being sold on the street, it's likely to be laced with something else, that could potentially be life-ending. And the reality of the matter is that is 100% not true. And the average person out there, whether they're a patient or just a consumer at this point, they know that. They know that that's not the case, that people aren't going out and lacing their weed. Are we seeing this in other drug areas? Absolutely. And we continue to see those in products like cocaine or heroin that are cut anyways, and then probably cut again, and are in fact sometimes laced with things that are deadly like fentanyl and other things that we've been told about. But that's not happening with cannabis. So when we have these ultra-regulated markets now coming to fruition, they do have a direct competition with the black market. And so it will be interesting to see how law enforcement deals with that, how our federal government deals with that, and how, or I guess to what extent will they go to enforce these policies, to ensure that these corporate monopolizers get what they want. Because that's really the only person who's pushing this agenda. We're not hearing stories, across the nation from patients that have gotten laced weed, that have gotten an inferior product, that have been made sick by their drug dealer. We didn't in the past, and we're not going to get those now because it doesn't happen. Is there a rare case once in a while? Well, sure. I'm sure there is. But for the most part, the 99%, that's not the case. And cannabis is a safe thing to use in general. So we have to take that into consideration, and I think that's something that law enforcement takes into consideration as well. As far as our legislators, it seems to be a miss. They seem to be missing that point. And at this point, I don't have an answer to change their minds or to sort of flip the market back over and allow a truly free market. Obviously these things are out of our control. But I think it is interesting, the conundrum that has been placed, not just here in Michigan, but in a lot of other areas as well, where you have competing markets, one being regulated, one being illegal, and really the consumer just doesn't even care. They really don't. So it's going to be interesting to see how law enforcement takes this in the future. And again, like I stated before, most in the past, man, if it was on the black market, it was illegal. There wasn't, oh, well, that could be legal if it's done this way. Or, yeah, that's illegal for me to buy it. Well, let me put it this way. Illegal for me to pay for it, but I can have it. Or how about this? It's illegal for me to sell it, but it's not illegal for you to buy it. These are the types of things that caregivers are dealing with, that people who handle cannabis now that we're in a recreational adult legalized market are going to be dealing with. And you have to look at also the conundrum that the state is putting itself in by saying, all right, everybody can have this, but nobody can sell it. And there's no place to go buy it at either. It's just these catch-22s that almost seem to be deliberately placed on us, almost like a trap being laid. And it can certainly feel that way. But do I think that law enforcement is out there springing these traps? No, it doesn't appear to be that way. And that's actually some of the news I would like to share with you today as well. There have been multiple county prosecutors across Michigan who, since the law has passed, and again, it's not even in effect yet. December 6th is when it becomes in effect. So just by it being passed, we've had multiple prosecutors in multiple counties across Michigan. And in some of these counties, they have been antagonistic to cannabis, like Kent County, for example. But they are one of the ones I'm talking about right now. And these prosecutors have dropped multiple cannabis cases because of the new law that was passed. Were they, and I guess the neat thing about that is that the details weren't even really discussed. Like how much did they have? Were they over their limit? Were they medical? Were they not? None of it really mattered. The case was dropped. So we do see law enforcement refocusing their efforts on more important things, which I think is a good thing. And I hope that that continues. I hope that they continue to dedicate what their limited resources that they have to the things that are most important to us as constituents. I think that's the best case scenario. And I don't think it's going to pay for them to continue to pursue cannabis criminals. I don't think that's going to be in their future. So we'll see. All right, other news I wanted to share with you today. A state that has not been too friendly, but looks like they might be making a turnaround, is New Jersey. New Jersey's legislature, I think just today, reintroduced legislation for adult recreational cannabis. It is a regulated market. It allows for the buildup of the business, so on and so forth. It allows for 1 ounce possession by adults. I think there is a 10 or 12% tax plus a 2% tax that goes to communities. So about 12% is the tax that they're looking at on the product. So all in all, it's not quite as good as the bill that we just passed here in Michigan, but at least it's a step forward in the right direction, which is pretty good coming from New Jersey. There was here, before I move on, Ohio, another state. Looks like Ohio's getting ready, has legislation passed, and looks like they are going to be moving forward, or at least closer to adult cannabis recreational use. And another state, Massachusetts, their adult recreational sales actually begins today. And I thought it was kind of neat. The mayor of one of the cities there celebrated by buying a brownie. So I thought that was kind of funny. I hope he eats it and has a great night. So Massachusetts, good to go for Massachusetts. They passed recreational, it was about a year ago, and now they finally have some of their first stores coming online and becoming available to the public. So obviously these things take time. And speaking of things taking time, Michigan is no exception. Obviously the law becoming effective December 6th, so as of December 6th you can toke freely in your own home, but you're not going to be able to find anywhere to buy it. And that's because of the way that the state wrote the law. The only place that will be allowed to sell cannabis will be licensed cannabis dispensaries, and anybody else they decide to license for that matter. But if you don't have a license, you're not allowed to sell. And that includes trading or anything else. Basically, if you receive any type of compensation for recreational marijuana, you're breaking the law. So it does kind of leave the state in limbo, as you're going to have the entire adult population of Michigan able to smoke and utilize cannabis to their desires, but there's no place for them to go get it. Even the new medical places that are now becoming licensed don't have a license for recreational sales, and they won't have it for quite some time. So estimates right now are telling us we may not see recreational sales coming online in Michigan until 2020. Maybe sooner than that, but we have yet to see. And I thought it was funny, or I guess maybe not funny, maybe more just misinformed, that the Detroit Free Press had an article this weekend talking about the shortage of cannabis available to these newly regulated medical facilities. And as you well know, as we've been covering here on the podcast for quite some time now, the state is far behind and lacking in being able to approve their licensed facilities quick enough. So not only do they not have enough dispensaries licensed, but they also don't have nearly enough cultivation centers licensed either. And currently right now it is creating what they say is a shortage in their licensed medical marijuana facilities businesses. And I think that's funny because of the fact that there is absolutely no shortage of cannabis in general. And I think anybody that has been involved in the cannabis business or is currently involved now, whether you're a patient or a caregiver, you know this to be true. So I don't know what the point is here of this article, other than maybe they're trying to create another Oregon scenario here in Michigan where we have a huge excess of cannabis. We continue to see large multi-million-dollar facilities being approved across the state. So I guess I don't know where they're going with this, but I can certainly tell you that there is no shortage of cannabis in the state of Michigan. All right. And as we just had this law pass, we've already had communities lining up to say no. So part of the recreational bill does allow for communities to opt out, which they can pass their own ordinance to say that they do not want to allow any cannabis businesses in their community. And they do have the right to do so. However, it is not going to negate your right as an individual to utilize or possess or cultivate your own cannabis. And this is something that will most likely end up in court, as we have seen happen with our medical law and communities trying to ban patients and caregivers from their state rights. And remember, this was an amendment that was passed by the people, so it does actually make an addition to Michigan State Constitution. So this is a very strong position that this law was passed from. So it should have a lot of strength in protecting Michigan's individual rights for cannabis consumption and cultivation. So even as communities say no, I would encourage the people out there to exercise your freedoms to your fullest extent legally, and try to work with your community, but also don't allow them to be dictarian, if you will. You have your own rights, and you should be able to stand up for those as well. A business, opening a business in a town, that's another issue. But your own individual rights should continue to be protected. All right. Other things I wanted to mention. Let's see here. Did I mention Ohio? Yes, I think we know Ohio. Community saying no. I think that's about it. Obviously, the big thing about today's show is Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and it's a time to sit down and enjoy your family. I got a lot of folks right now. I got the turkey brining, or whatever it is they're planning on doing. You got the bread sitting out for the stuffing, all that good stuff. Hey, let's just be thankful. All right, there's not enough thankfulness in this world, especially here in the United States. It seems to be an I want kind of society that we live in, and I can certainly understand that. But we do have it better than 99% of the rest of the world. If you just do a little bit of research, look around, we got it pretty good. And there's some things that we could definitely celebrate this year as cannabis community here in Michigan. Obviously, the legalization of cannabis for adult recreational use. People getting set free, or expungement's going to happen. Things like this. These are all worth celebrating. Some of you may be celebrating the election results. Good. More power to you. I think the most important thing is that you celebrate life. And if you're living today, if you're living tomorrow, be thankful for it, all right? And be thankful that we are able to have a Thanksgiving. A lot of countries don't have Thanksgiving. They don't have any reason to celebrate Thanksgiving. They've never even heard of it. If they did, they wouldn't have anything to celebrate it with. So, was it really a Pilgrim Indian thing? I don't know.
I saw this thing on History Channel. No, it was on the Travel Channel about the first Thanksgiving, and actually it was like a brief account of it, and then there was no set celebration that went on continuing in continuity. It was disrupted for 200 years and then rediscovered. But they actually said the natives that came there they came up on the celebration, and they joined in, and they saw that there wasn't going to be enough food, so they went out and hunted down 5 deer and brought that their contribution to it. Was
it at Jamestown or Plymouth Rock? Or?
Yeah, I forget which one it was. I think it was Jamestown. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was it took a long time for Thanksgiving to become an established holiday. It was around the time of the Civil War it became more of established.
I thought Abraham Lincoln made it a holiday.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, but it was a gradual process, and there was no pumpkin pies. There was no. There
probably wasn't turkey either.
And there was probably a lot of fish cooked because
maybe wild turkey.
There might have been birds of some sort, but they said pretty much it probably would have been cod. Fish.
Fish and venison.
Right. So obviously, but but it's we have our conceptions, and it's kind of cool to hear that the real truth of it. But we still like their pumpkin pie and the stuff we think is quintessential Thanksgiving food. But
yeah. No, I've been to Jamestown. It is a windy place. You're right there on the ocean. I've seen the stone houses that they lived in. I've seen the where they blew glass. It's kind of cool. I know a lot of you are into glass blowing, but it's a very humble place. And if you can imagine living in that time, day and age, exposed to the elements, maybe 50 degrees would be about as warm as you'd get for months on end. You know what I mean? And they were having Thanksgiving. They were thankful to be alive, thankful to be surrounded by family, thankful to have food. And those are the important things in life. So I'll end on that. You guys enjoy your family. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll catch you here next week at the podcast, Genesee County Compassion Club Show, and allpointstv.com. John, thanks for being with me this week. Definitely appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate all of you down at the G3C making it happen every day. Couldn't do it without you. You guys are the best. All right? Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll catch you here next time.